Sister Sajdah Muhammad. We are proud to announce that the Sajdah House commemorative Elijah coins are finally here. As we renovate and restore the former home of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, we have recycled the old copper gutters and downspouts and created a 1 ounce 39 millimeter coin made of 100% pure copper. Each coin is professionally graded and has its own barcode and registration number. This priceless heirloom, made from recycled copper from the messenger's home, is now available at sajdahhouse.com.
You belong to yourself. You're an independent people, created from the nation of free people.
Yes, sir.
You don't need to go nowhere but to yourself.
Yes,
So the challenge is an education that enlivens us to do business. Business is the activity of life itself. Every creature is born with the inherent ability to attract out of this material earth what it needs to perpetuate its species.
Without commitment, you'll never start. But more importantly, without consistency, you'll never finish. It's not easy. If it were easy, there'd be no Denzel Washington. So, keep working, keep striving, never give up, fall down 7 times, get up 8. Ease is a greater threat to progress than hardship. Ease is a greater threat to progress than hardship. So, keep moving, keep growing, keep learning. See you at work.
Welcome to the Sajdah Saturday Morning Coffee Talk. Assalamu alaikum. Ramadan Mubarak. Ramadan is almost done. Man, I was sleepy and thirsty this morning. Let me tell you, I didn't even feel like turning on the light. So I woke up and got dressed so y'all don't have to. So I don't want to blind y'all with a whole lot of light, although the sun is coming up. So we're going to get some light here in a minute. But anyway, assalamu alaikum, everyone. How are you doing? Welcome, welcome. How's your Ramadan going? Let's see what's happening here in the comments. Wa alaikum salam and Ramadan Kareem to everyone. Thank you, thank you. I played that little clip from Denzel Washington because it's so important that we understand as we're moving through this journey of development that oftentimes it's our safety that prevents us from doing more. And of course, we all strive for security and we all want to be safe. But then there's another level of like safety and security that a lot of us get into that is in some ways holding us back because we don't want to do anything extra. We don't want to do anything more. We don't want to be tired. We don't want to stretch ourselves. Um, but a lot of you DM me and you ask me, you know, how did you accomplish this or that? How did you go on the road for all those years as a consultant? How do you do the things that you do? Well, I'm not afraid to stretch myself. I understand that stretching beyond my comfort zone is where the magic happens. That's where the accomplishments are. That's where the next level is, is stretching beyond my comfort zone into that space where I'm not so sure how I'm going to do what I'm going to do oftentimes. But it's that stretch that takes you to that next level. And so I get asked that question a lot. I was talking to somebody the other day and she was like, how do you do it? I said, well, I know when to rest and I know when to relax and know when I need to just, unplug, but I also know how to push beyond my comfort zone. So always looking the safe part, because here's another thing. A lot of us, we're afraid to let somebody else see us working hard. See, hard work is something that we associate with people who maybe are less than us. And so a lot of us don't want people to see us working hard. They don't want us to struggle. They don't want anybody to see them struggle. They don't want it to be known that they had to really work for something. And so that also prevents them. So as long as they can work in a vacuum and behind closed doors and in the dark and then come out like, ta-da, then, they're okay. So I think that that's an important thing for us to kind of explore in our psyche as traumatized people who were forced to work at a certain level, who now, in many cases, have decided that we don't want to work. We do what we got to do to pay whatever bills we have to pay, but we're not necessarily ready to reach and to move forward. So when you see, Denzel talking about on that clip, how safety can often be the enemy of progress and in our desire to be safe and our definition of safe. Now, yeah, as they say in the Middle East, you tie your camel. I say over here, yeah, you pay your bills, you handle your business, you do what you got to do, but you got to learn how to stretch. If you're used to being in bed at 9 o'clock at night, then that business you want to build may require that you stay up some nights past 9 p.m. It may require that you get up some mornings before the normal time that you're comfortable getting up. It's going to require that you stretch and pull a little bit. If you say, you know what, I really want to go to that next level, but I don't want to do anything extra, then you don't really want to go to that next level. You just want somebody to give you the next level. And that's a dangerous place to be. Because if you're waiting for somebody to just give you the next level or lift you up and just put you on the next level, instead of you actually taking that step in faith and going to that next level, then that's a dangerous space because it's going to make you envious and jealous of the person who is taking those steps and going to that next level. You're going to be looking like, well, how did they get there? And how did they get that? And I want that, but I don't have it. Well, you got to be able to stretch yourself, because in that stretching is where the blessings come. And so I have so many entrepreneurs that call me that say, look, I'm burning the candle at both ends. And I said, there's no other solution other than you finding a way whether you find a way and find time to steal away during the day, whether you find time to do it on either ends of your day, whether you find time and the resource to find someone to help you do certain things, there's no way around it. It's just not going to magically happen. There is no spook God. And so if you're on a hamster wheel and you're continuing to do the same thing over and over and over and over and over and over again, then you're only going to make so much progress. And let me tell you something. These companies that we work for and the systems that we've plugged ourselves into, they're very clear when they design those systems how much money you can even possibly make moving through that process that they've put together. They already know this ahead of time. See, when you plan in this arena, you know these things. When I've been with companies that, and when they would sit down, they say, well, we want to hire a certain amount of sales reps or agents. And we say, okay. Then they say, well, we'll tell them that the sky's the limits, because in essence it is. But we know that based on this industry and the statistical and mathematical ways that we have evaluated and calculated this industry, we know that if they make X number of calls a day, if they go and visit X number of businesses, if they see a certain number of customers a day, if they handle a certain amount of product a day, we already know what their income level could potentially be. We know what the average is, and we know what the outliers will be. We already know that because we've designed a system. And the system is designed to push you and I to our max. So they know that while they're pushing us to our max, they know what your income range is going to be. And so if you don't figure out how to break up that pattern, do something different or add something on the beginning or the end, then they've already predetermined your income level. Has nothing to do necessarily with you. It's just because this is what they know that you can make. And they know then, how do we find the right people to plug into that spot? And so then they start the marketing and create the prestige around that position and around that opportunity. And then people start to come, and then they start to then know, because they've already studied and paid for it. They brought in consultants like myself, and they know what the personality type is. They're not just picking you for that particular position, especially not initially, until they've done some form of behavioral interviewing. Maybe you even took a Myers-Briggs test or something like that. They know the personality type that works for this particular industry and in this particular job. So that's already predetermined. That's already set. So when we plug ourselves into the system, we have to understand that somebody somewhere said, okay, everybody that plugs in, we are anticipating to make X amount of dollars off of that person. And because we know about how much revenue we're going to make, we've already made those projections, then we're going to make sure that we know how much money they're going to make. And every once in a while, we throw out bonuses, but there are actuarial studies that are already done in advance that lets that company know who to hire, how to hire them, where to find them, what kind of systems and processes to put in place to make that personality type happy. You see? So you have to explore beyond your safety zone. How do you get to that next level? Well, you got to figure that out. See, when I met my business partner and together we built the micro hospital in Maryland, I was working and had been working very successfully as a business consultant for a long time. And so I had just moved into where I was starting to get my own clients. But the question I had to ask myself is, do I take a chance on this? Or do I keep doing what I'm doing? I'm pretty certain that I could probably make $230,000, $250,000 a year as a consultant. I'm pretty certain that I could do that. And I probably can make a little more if I pick up certain clients. So if I stay right here, this is how much money I can make. But if I'm looking to move to that next level, if I'm thinking about legacy building, if I'm thinking about leaving my mark in this world, that may not be the way to do it. So I had to take a chance on going and building the micro hospital, uprooting myself and moving myself. I had to take a chance on the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad's house. I had to put a cause and a mission in my mind and in my heart that was more important than my safety, if you will, or my comfort, because of working with a particular company or in a particular field on a particular business model in a particular personality type zone that had already predetermined how much money I was going to make. So a lot of us are struggling and we over here, man, like I want to do more. I want to do this or that. Well, see, because if you work at a fast food restaurant or a retail store, you know that you're going to make $15 an hour or whatever your hourly rate is. You know that if you multiply that by the number of hours that you work, then that's how much money you're going to make. It's a fact. There's only so much that you're going to be able to make. Well, the same thing happens to those of us who are professionals, who are consultants, who are 1099 employees, who are agents, who work for a system. And what I encourage people to do is use that system and learn that system, but move yourself to that next level. Figure out, what's my next move? Ask Allah, what is my next best move? How do I get to that next space? And how do I hack my mind so that I can see the opportunities and figure out how to get to the next place? Because what they have you doing is they have annual conferences and they have people who come around and they prance these people across the stage in front of you and say, oh, this is one of our executive vice presidents, and this is one of our star people, and this is one of our people that this or that. And they make you think that they went through the same system and process that you went through, but it's not even possible. They already know that they got to pluck a few people, change the system for those people that are plucked, give them more money, dress them up more, because that's going to keep you chasing the carrot. So, and that's okay, because you're learning. You got to look at it all as a journey, all as a process, all as a level, and learn how to step out a little bit more on your faith. Learn how to stretch and do a little bit more. See, what happens, a lot of us, this kind of work is like being in a relationship, right? It's like you meet somebody, you start talking, you start dating, you get in a relationship, you start over, and then you get hurt. And then you do it again, and maybe you get hurt again, or maybe it didn't work, but maybe there's another way that you can look at this. Maybe these are experiences. Maybe these are ways in which you need to tweak yourself so that you can do better in those relationships. Well, the same thing happens on a professional side. We go, we do something, we dedicate, and we get hurt. We go and we do something and we look up and that person ain't right. This is just all teaching us how to be and who to be. And if you look at it from that standpoint, it makes it much, much, much easier to deal with. And you understand where you need to go with it, because you can't get so afraid that you go and retreat and say, I'm never going to love again. I'm never going to work for nobody again, or I'm never going to do this or that. You got to stay fluid and flexible. And you can never give up on that. So that's what you got to look at it like. Got to find a way to keep going. Find that next thing that makes you in love. All right. So anyway, let's see what we got in the chat here. Wa alaikum salam, everyone. Any questions, any topics you guys want to talk about? Are y'all tuning in on Thursday? Did y'all see what we talked about this past Thursday? If you didn't, make sure you like and subscribe to the page, and then you can binge on the past episodes and things like that. Oh man, I forgot to bring my Chicago Sun-Times over here to the office. I'll show it to you all another time, but we had a full page ad in there this Friday for the home of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. So that was very, very exciting. We've got some classes coming up. I have a class called the Polished Professional, which is about etiquette and conduct and presentation. That's coming up. We have a fundraiser it's going to be a lot of fun, for the Honorable Elijah Muhammad House that we're going to be doing at the Silver Room that we're going to announce on Monday. So you'll see the additional information on that. We want you all to come out, hang out with us, bring your donation, get some gifts. You know me, I'm always giving away stuff. I probably give away more than I receive, but I'm so blessed that giving is a part of my life. So I just enjoy finding ways to give and to give more, and understanding how giving is also one of those things that puts you to that next level. You got to make sure that you break up that old energy. Now, I'm not saying you give to the point where you're hurting yourself. And I'm not saying that you give to people who are disrespectful, or people who don't honor, if you will, what you're giving to them. You gotta pick your people and pick your right stuff. Okay, so Brother Lamont said he's catching up. Okay, you got to catch up, Brother Lamont. Wa alaikum salam. Yes, make sure. Also, for the Mo Today Black Muslim Business Series, we got a lot of great, incredible people that we are showing you and showcasing. And we're working on that television show as well. So make sure you're liking and subscribing to the page. We may have a pilot soon that we'll be recording and airing live here with you all. So I'm grateful for Ramadan and the reset that Ramadan helps us to have. It's a time of the year for me where Ramadan and then my birthday month are the times where I end up pushing and going to that next level, because I start really being focused on intentional thinking. And I really focus on mental conditions. And I pick a particular or two subjects or accomplishments that I want, and I create the mental condition. And then I start to focus there on that mental condition. And then I start making sure that even as I'm presenting myself, as I'm leaving, as I'm going out of the house, as you see me, I want to be in a position where I look the part. I look like somebody that can have what it is that's in my mind. I act like somebody that can have what it is that's in my mind. I handle myself in a way that is just like someone that has or has accomplished what it is that I say I want, to the best, of my ability. Oftentimes you don't know what you don't know, and you can't always figure out how to get there. My birthday is in August. I'm a Virgo. So that's important to me. I make sure during those times, especially during Ramadan, where in addition to my reading and in addition to my journaling for the month, the fasting, I'm doing a lot of mental conditioning and setting myself up. And I build, just like in business, I build a pipeline. So I build a pipeline so that when that big opportunity comes, I'm ready. I don't want to be one of those persons who I knew someone back in the day who got an opportunity to be on the Oprah show, but they didn't have any product, they didn't have any services. So they went on that show, everybody saw them, and there was nothing that they capitalized on. So I'm not that person. So I build a pipeline. As you all know, I have content. I build a pipeline of content. So when my television show launches and people are searching, they can go back to 2009 to the radio show. They can go back to when I was on Blog Talk Radio. They can see all the pipeline of things that I put together. So the thing that happens for us as Black people is that we don't have a pipeline. We don't have a continuity. When we're done with something, we cut off and we're done, and we just never go back to it. So we never become known for something that we dedicated our time and our life to. So that's another important thing, is understanding how to see it through. If you've invested your time and life in something, figure out how to see it through, how to build a pipeline. And so you also have to build a mental pipeline so that when inshallah, your dream comes true or that opportunity comes to fruition, you already are setting yourself up mentally for it. You're ready. So same thing in business. That pipeline needs to be flowing. It needs to already be going. It needs to be going. Yeah, I love that comment. Brother Lamont said this has been an unforgettable Ramadan. Yeah, that's right. Prepare business and personal pipeline. That is the whole idea. That is what we have to do. Prepare that, because if you don't, then you're really not going to know if you're ready or not. And you may or may not actually get there. It's like you hear people talk about, I knew that I wanted to be in business and this is what I wanted to do my entire life. Or they said they started preparing themselves. You all hear me talk about the pipeline and the trail that began to be prepared for me as young as when I was a little girl. And so understand, what's your thing, what's your mojo? What are you focused on? Mine is, I could, when I was a little girl, was that I could read really well. Started reading at about 3 or 4. And then that put me in a position where I could explore more. I could imagine more. So I was reading big, full novels, by, 7, 8 years old, big, thick novels. And so I could explore more. My imagination could go more, go further. It could expand more. And then as I began to travel and do things like that, I remember reading about this in a book way back in the day or something like that. But my mind could explore because of the reading. And this is no slam against anybody else who hasn't done that or didn't do that. But what that was doing was creating this pipeline for myself. I don't even remember when I didn't want to be in business. I don't even remember that. I was so focused on wanting to be a business person and be in business and own a business and driving past stores and thinking, man, I want to own that one day, or I want one of those one day. I don't even remember that's how long I've wanted to do that. And so that's how long I've been creating that mental condition. That's how long I used to lay in bed at night where everybody else might have been doing something else and think about my store that I was going to own, my business that I was going to own. If I went with my parents to go buy a new car, I was looking around, I was quiet, but thinking, man, I want a car dealership. Target, this is nice. I want a store. I wanted a store like Target for so long. I think I worked at Target maybe 3 or 4 times in my life. High school and college, and little side jobs on the holidays, seasons and all that. And I would work at Target. And even to this day, my go-to store, whether it's like Walmart or Kohl's or whatever, is Target. And that's because for so long, I thought in my mind, like, man, I want me a store like this. And so I would pay attention to merchandising when I worked there. I'd pay attention to how you folded the clothes. I'd pay attention to presentation. When I started traveling, I started going, I want a hotel. I really want a hotel. So I started understanding how to decorate hotel style. I started to understand how, not sitting little small things on your floor and creating this kind of grand effect so that it's a hotel-esque type experience, because I wanted a hotel for so long. I wanted a television show, a talk show. So I'm saying all these things to say to you that find those things and put yourself in that mental condition. It's not too late. We got a few hours left in Ramadan. So set an intention. Set an intention today for something that you want to accomplish in this year. And then begin to create that mental condition. Who do you need to be? Who do you need to be in order to have what it is that you want? What do you need to think like? How are you going to feel when that happens? How are you going to be thinking? See yourself at the table negotiating or whatever it is. If you want to be an attorney and you say, you know what, I'm going to start law school or I'm going to expand my legal business, then see yourself with that expansion. See yourself meeting clients. See yourself. If you say, if it's something like, hey, I want to get my teeth fixed, then see yourself. Go stand in the mirror. If your teeth are not what they want, then see yourself with those teeth that you want. Why do I say that? Because you want to create the mental condition first. Get out in front of it. And then you'll start to see where it'll start to happen. It'll line up for you. This is even important as we, work and program our children and people that we work and train. That has to be a theme. My parents, even if I wasn't smart, my parents and my family handled me like I was smart, like I was a smart person. As it turned out, I was that, and I got the good grades and there was the evidence there, but that was how they taught me to move like a smart person because they trained my brain in that manner. It wasn't necessarily about, oh, you're so pretty, show this body part or look at this body part or whatever, because that's what happens a lot of times. As little girls, we start this whole thing of we live for somebody telling us that we're pretty. And so when we get older, we start trying to figure out how to do things to present as pretty, whatever that definition is. And we don't like anything other than that. But in my particular case, it wasn't that. It was, you're brilliant, you're smart. And so I started to move like that. And I started to be okay with taking chances, because another thing my parents taught us was to get up out of the safety zone, to stretch ourselves, to do something different, to do something more. That whole brand that I created, the authentic you, came from my mother and her theme in our household. You're going to be yourself up in here. And so sometimes I look back at old pictures. I know she's probably listening, but I look back at old pictures and I'm like, Mom, why did you let me dress like that? She was like, you was being yourself. And so those are programming tools, if you will, for now as an adult. I'm okay with being myself. I'm okay with who I am. And who would have thought that I would grow up and become a Muslim follower of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, and then live in that space and be all right with it and feel like I had to do anything other than just be and be who I am and be a good person and be a smart person. And then I turned out not to look so bad, so that helped too. All right, y'all. I'm sorry. I'm rambling a little bit. Okay, what y'all say? Okay, so Sister Aletha says, such a great point to connect the dots of our past and professional endeavors and accomplishments. They are not separate. They are a continual journey. That's right. If you understand that it's a fluidity, it's a continual journey. What happens with us as Black people is that we cut ourselves off on the journey. We just stop. Maybe we used to be a dancer or a singer, and then somebody hurt our feelings and we go, boop, I'm not doing it no more. We go off into a whole nother endeavor. Well, what happens to that time and life that you invested in being a singer and a dancer? How are you going to use that? Well, maybe you're not singing and dancing the way you used to, but what are you doing now? And how has that flowed into the next phase of your life? So understand life as a continuum is very, very, very important, because I believe that everything that we do, everything we are a part of, I know for myself, I have been a part of so many divine opportunities, or at least that's how I see it. Opportunities that are unique, opportunities that not a lot of people can lay claim to, not a lot of people can say they've been a part of. And so for me, it's important not to throw those things away. I'm all about exploring and trying to figure out, like, oh, why did you put me in that situation? Oh, okay. It's so I could become this person, so I can move here and there. But everything's a continuous journey. So you never want to get to the point where you go, I'm throwing away that, I'm done with that, I'm out of here. And then you just think you're going to start over. But what it's going to do is going to set you back. So even if you remove yourself physically from something, you have to grow through it and figure out what those lessons were, what you needed to know, and who you needed to become, and then take those lessons and move on to the next piece of life. So you want to grow through it, not do it, stop, start over, stop, start over. Grow through it. It's the same way in our personal life, in relationships. You grow through it. You grow through it. And you learn to laugh at yourself, but you grow through it. You'll understand where you were as a person in your head and your mind when you went through that experience. And these are the lessons that you learned from that. And now you're going to take these lessons and build the next part of your life. But this concept of cutting is I can't even say, it's really a conquered person's or an enslaved person's mindset. Because really what you're saying is that you're looking for your next master. Okay, I'm done there. I'm out. Let me go find the next place where I want to be enslaved. Because a lot of times when you live your life like that, where you cut off this and this, you don't necessarily elevate. You just change physicalities. You just change locations, but you do the same thing in this location that you were doing in the last location because you didn't necessarily grow through it. And that's important. That's why you hear people say, a lot of wealthy people will say, a mind once contracted can never expand. That's a peek into their mindset, because what they're saying is that on this level, if I've contracted on this level, did I say that right? A mind once expanded can never contract. I've been to a lot of wealth seminars and around a lot of really super wealthy people, and they all say that kind of thing. What do they mean by that? Once your mind settles and expands on this level, you never want to be in a position where mentally you shrink your mind back down to go to the next thing. What does that look like? That means you forget about what you've done in the past and what you've done on this level and what lessons you've learned, and go to the next level thinking that you're going to get something different. So they take their mind with them, and their mind is ever expanding as they go from step to step to step. That's why you hear a lot of people go, oh, I fell down and I got back up, or I lost my company, but now I own a multi-trillion-dollar company, if you start to look at a lot of these great people who are finding and starting these big major corporations, they failed miserably somewhere else. And so they took those lessons and moved through life. If you look at any of them, you'll see different ventures in their background. Believe it or not, you might even see some big companies that you recognize that they were a part of. And oftentimes, once they become the CEO of that big new company, that old company may actually call them back and have them sit on the board or have them participate. And why do they do it? They do it for the continuum of the experience. So it's just something to keep in mind. Okay, yes, okay. You can't hide from yourself everywhere you go. There you are. Sister said that she quoted Teddy Pendergrass. All right, family. If you all don't have any other questions, anything you want us to talk about, but that was a big topic that just kind of came up. That was in the DM. I really tackled a lot of that on Thursday because we were talking about, getting away from haters and envious and jealous people and all of that kind of stuff. And you can't control if people are going to be envious or jealous of you. All you can do is make sure that you don't become that person. That's really all you can do. Protect yourself, seek refuge in Allah against the envier when he or she envies, and make sure you don't become that person. Make sure that you're continuing to grow. See, if you're always working on expanding your mind, and if you see your life as a continual journey, it'll be a little difficult for you to stop and become envious and jealous. See that enslaved person that just stops and go, okay, I want to go to the next level. When they're running their race and they look over and they see somebody who has looked at life as a continual journey, and that person is so much more ahead of them, oftentimes those are the people that you'll see that'll get envious and jealous. It's really because they probably had an opportunity to do what you do, and maybe they didn't do it. Maybe they got a chance to get up and work out and they jealous of your body. Maybe they had a chance to do well at work and they decided that they didn't want to. They wanted to just be gone as much as possible or steal time, or they had the mindset that they wanted to do as little as possible for the most amount of money as possible. That's a real low level way of thinking. I'm not going to do nothing, but I want you to pay me. Those are generally the people that give you the most difficult time as an employer. It's usually the people who don't do much. So beware of those kind of people when you hire them. If you see that person that's always trying to get over and they don't really want to work, those are usually the people that give you the hardest time. That's where your lawsuits are going to come from. That's where your EEOC complaints are going to come from. That's where your complaints to the state or whatever regulatory body that you're working with is going to come from. It's going to come from those people who want something for nothing. Those generally are the people who are willing to be of more service value than what it is that they receive, which is really the key to a lot of wealth building, giving more of service value than what it is that you receive. Those generally are not the people that are going to stop and, take you to court or act crazy because you didn't give them an extra vacation, or those aren't the people who are going to be trying to milk your company dry. And so you just don't want to be that kind of person. All right, family. So let's make sure that we get our commemorative Elijah coin. Put in the chat if you already got your coin. Let me know if you got your coin yet or not. If you got your coin or not, when are you getting your coin? When are you going to support the renovation and restoration of the former home of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad? When are you going to support these types of projects? It's important that we learn as a people how to support independent projects and things that we see people are doing. We always wait for somebody else to do. We always say, they need to name a street after so-and-so. They need to build a statue for so-and-so. Who is they? And when you see one of your own doing something, how much do you really support? Or is it cool to just say they need to put some new shows on TV, or they need to give us some new clothes? See, that we ain't on no plantation. Well, some of y'all, I ain't on no plantation. So I'm not looking going, they need to stop. If they want to sell poison for $1 and a $5 meal, that's fine, but I'm not eating it. So this is where we got to flip our mindset. We have to start doing for self mentally and emotionally as well. So get your commemorative Elijah coin. Make it a goal for yourself. Make it a goal to support an independent project, a person. You know, let me say this last thing before we get off of here. We got about 15 minutes, but I won't take up that amount of time. Oftentimes, our business people in our community are not supported, and we are not heralded, if you will. Because if you look back through history, we've had a lot of incredible Black people in business. Study our history. Go through, I've learned this being an urban historic preservationist and studying these neighborhoods and seeing these people. And even if you just look at Black Wall Street and what we did just out of slavery and start paying attention to that, we are incredible when it comes to business. And we've had some very credible and incredible and iconic and influential inventors and business people from our community. But what happens is, because we take this mindset where we don't respect ourselves as business because we don't know the science of business. That was something that we were not taught that was taken away from us. I won't say that. I say this. We may have come here with it because there are studies. And I have a book. I'll share the book with you. I don't have it in front of me, but it's a book where they study whatever trade your tribe or your people were in before you were enslaved. Many of those same people after slavery started doing the same professions, even though they were a couple generations away, because it was just kind of in their DNA. And so when they studied people from Black Wall Street and a lot of these successful Black economic communities that popped up right after slavery ended, before they were all destroyed, they looked at what their professions were. And then once they figured out where those people came from in the regions, they saw that there was a continuum of those professions. But what happened was there was a propaganda that began after those communities were destroyed, where the Black man or woman that went into business was not necessarily supported. And so even a lot of times to this day, especially with Black women, if you want to be heralded as a successful business person, 9 times out of 10, you got to know you might not get your support. Y'all hear me come on here every day. Don't chip and dip me. Make a donation. Pay for this. Get your commemorative Elijah coin, because what happens in our community is if you're a star entertainer, those are the people that end up on the cover of Black Enterprise. Those are the people that you end up supporting as a business person. So it's almost like if we don't know how to sing or dance or become athletic, we don't get supported as a business person. A lot of that is because as a people, with all our economic support and all of our buying power, we only support those who follow that career path. But that independent business person that is out here trying to open up a business, do something different, making a difference, that's not saying they need to do this and they need to do that. Because I could have sat down and said, well, they need to get the messenger's house. They need to make a museum out of the messenger's house. I could have done that. And then I could have just went on about my business. But I didn't. And so there's always this. I was having a conversation with a couple of people the other day, and they always find a way to downplay what we've done as independent business people. There's always a downplay. Well, I don't know how you did it, but I don't know how you got the money, but how about I'm a business person? That's how it was done. How about this person's been a business person their entire life, so they're putting together a business model that worked, and they're taking the money from the business model they put together in their life and what worked in their life and investing it in something else. But we don't respect that. You got to be a singer, a dancer, a ball player. You got to be something in order for us to think, okay, yeah, that person can do business. That's why I encourage anybody who's an athlete to go into business, because we are mentally conditioned to support that person before we would support somebody else. We're quicker, we're much more, we'll do much more to put that person on the cover of our magazine. That just goes to show you that a lot of this stuff ain't really about choosing the right person. It's about choosing what flows with the business model that somebody else gave us. So, all right, here's the trail. Singer, dancer, basketball player, football player, go into business, you get the cover of the magazine. What about that person in your community that has had their own insurance agency and been in the neighborhood for years? What about that person who owns a store, the shoe shine place in your community, and they've been there for years? What about that person in your community who's always been in business? They got a little corner grocery store, or they make shoes, or whatever it is that they do. Because we have those unique, iconic people in our community, but we don't support them because we don't see them doing something that's entertaining to us. So those people die and their businesses just fall off. The Annie Malones, people like that. You don't see them anymore. And so what I'm saying to us is that we have an opportunity right now as we are living to change that narrative. Support these types of projects. Support these types of people. People like myself who probably, if I was singing and dancing on stage and doing what I'm doing, you all would be donating like crazy. You all would be supporting like crazy. But because I'm not, but because my thing is being a global thought leader and doing business and trying to do something that makes a difference, that's not supported. But if I sing a song, take a few layers of clothes off, then y'all will donate. Y'all will make it rain. So let's change our mentality. Who do we support and why do we support them? Stop letting the media and the big conglomerates, I can't even say white people because black people do it too. The media conglomerates and the system tell us who is important in our community and who is important to us. Let's stop allowing that. Let's stop allowing our business people that made a difference, our politicians that made a difference. Stop allowing them to just fade off into the woodwork. So that's why I come on here every day relentlessly and ask you all for your support, because I'm determined to help us change that narrative. I shouldn't have to be Rihanna or Beyonce to be the entrepreneur of the year. No offense against them. Those are my sisters. They're doing great work, but I shouldn't have to be that. I shouldn't have to be Cardi B and be an ex-stripper in order to make a lot of money in business. No offense against my sister. That's her path. But I shouldn't have to be that. What about the brother and the sister who've been trying to do this the best that they could, the right way for their entire lives? What about supporting that person? What about being proud of that person? What about congratulating that person? So let's do this today. If you know a business person, somebody like myself who've been striving their entire life to do this the right way as a business person, Why don't you congratulate them today? Thank them today for just being an example and having the courage to stand in the face of all of what I just said. Because this kind of stuff takes courage, because folks don't support this kind of stuff. But if I rap, if I could play basketball real good, if I was playing football, if I was singing, if I was on here busting some notes, if I was on here dancing, doing the latest dance craze, y'all will donate. Y'all will support. There wouldn't be no shadow boycotting. But we're going to change this narrative. It's time to change it today. It's time for our great inventors and our great people in our community who have done the things that we say we want in our lives and what we want to do. It's time for us to start supporting them. That's the reason why I support urban historic preservation specifically. Because when you start going into these urban communities, you find the first Black person to own and start an insurance company. You find Black women who were self-made millionaires. You find Black men who were inventors, who developed and ran newspapers. Most of y'all can't name one Black newspaper, and if you can name the newspaper, you can't name the founder. But we have those in our community. We have those examples. The narrative is that we don't, but we do. We just need to support them more. Because just because they're not, top-notch entertainers or athletes, don't mean that they're not great people. All right, y'all. I didn't mean to go into that, but I just had to say that because that's just a little bit of my pet peeve, because I see us all the time, and I don't mind supporting, the brands of the entertainers that I love. Y'all know I'm all about business. I believe you should diversify your career. I believe that you should be a rapper and a producer and have your own clothing brand and whatever else it is that you want to have. I believe in that. But at the same time, as a people, support the brother and sister who is not necessarily a great rapper or a producer, or who wasn't once a stripper and who isn't now a rapper and who isn't now a singer trying to invest in business, who's not a comedian who's trying to open up something. And that's good. That's okay. But support the people who doing it a little differently. Everybody don't have to follow the same business model. All right, people, peace and blessings. Have a beautiful, beautiful Saturday. Wishing you all more goodness than you've ever received or imagined. And Ramadan Mubarak. Let's just go out with a little commercial to make us remember to support what I'm talking about.